Oh, wait a minute. I think I played it with a different rhythm, so now I can't yell maple syrup on time. Maple syrup! Hey, that's what happens, when you don't actually, like, know how to play the ukulele and you try. Uh,
I was like,
but we're
I
here
don't know this
today.
tune.
We're here today with the wonderful and awesome Danni Loe. Welcome, Danny, to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
Yeah,
Happy Wednesday.
and we have also Kat, of course. And we have a screen up on top that
There we
is
go.
absolutely nothing. What's that for? Yeah, that screen right there.
This is for Discord.
Whoa. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention, we have this season and this season alone, we've never done this before, is we're running master classes where we give our guest the show and they run their stuff for about an hour. And Danny today is going to be talking about using Discord and um, using it for like community management, using it for running a tabletop company, using it for communication, all those things that Discord is really great for. If you're scared of it, Danny's here to calm your fears. Because Kat is actually the one who is like, I don't like it. It scares me. And Danny's like, well, I could teach you. And then we said, well, why don't we just teach everybody at once? Right.
Everyone.
So we've got an hour. Everyone, everywhere, all at the same time. It's like a
Hey, we should make a
a
movie about
movie.
that.
Yeah, right. There you go. Hello to Brian Ashman. Hello to Amy. Hello to George. Welcome everybody. Yeah. So, Danny, we haven't talked to you for all of 4 weeks. I think it might have been just a month. But what have you been doing in that month at Hachette? Danny works for Hachette Games. That's the
I
deal.
do.
Yeah.
Hachette is we're kind of a distributor, but not in we also sell at game stores. Anyway, we bring a bunch of French games over to the US and turn them into English, and there you go.
Yeah.
So,
a reverse localizer.
yes. So I have been working on one. Christmas happened. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
We are also now gearing up for Valentine's Day with all of our 2-player games. So out on the Twitterverse and TikTokverse, you'll be seeing some Koale and Corridor stuff happening soon.
Right. And I actually didn't understand why you were pushing Koale, which is like a Mancala thing on Valentine's Day, and now you say, oh, it's 2 players. Oh, that makes
2-player.
sense. Couples games.
Yes,
Oh, I get
so
it.
romantic.
It
It's so
can
cute with
be.
a Q. With a Q. Romantic
Right.
with a Q.
Yes. I mean, but you know what? I like that companies are thinking about, the holidays and thinking about these events that are special for people and making it special through games as well for people who that's what the relationship is, not solely based on, of course. I mean, I hope I don't know anybody's relationship is solely based on board games, but maybe that's a very good relationship. I don't know. But yeah, if they are playing games, why not, hype up some 2-player games for Valentine's Day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sent a bunch of copies out to content creators and was like, I don't care who your player 2 is, but grab them and take a photo.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be your kitty. It could be your child. It could be your bestie. But let's play some games together.
Yeah. So, what about Gen Con? You have some forward thinking here. You got some planning going on.
Yes,
What
actually, I
what
spent
are you
all
planning?
day working on Gen Con because we got a bigger booth than last year, which is very exciting.
It is.
Especially because last year's booth was already very, very big. So we have a pretty massive booth, and
How
we have
big?
an event room, a 20-foot by 50-foot island.
So, I don't know if people
That's
who are
quite
watching understand how big that is.
Okay,
Not just in like square footage, but for Gen Con.
for Gen Con. So a normal booth is 10 by 10, little square. So basically we
That's
have 10
not that
squares.
little either. That's quite a bit to fill.
That's like you can fit 2 tables.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a small publisher with 2 tables and stacks of games, some
Yeah.
chairs, some maybe display items, and a place to put your money. That's what
Yeah.
fits in a 10 by 10.
Yeah.
And a lot of
So we
floor
have
pads.
lots. You got to have floor pads. Oh my god. or
You
and or
have to.
chairs, both.
Yeah, all those
Yeah.
things are good.
And
So
yours
yeah,
is 20 by 50.
yeah.
Do you
So
get
we
to
have,
design it?
I do. I love
Oh, that's the best
I
part.
it is. So I love interior design and being creative with spaces. So this is literally one of the highlights of the job for me is designing the flow of the
Oh,
stand of the
yes.
booth,
Yeah.
and also like the wall designs, what's going on our banners and whatnot. Um, but even more interior design me, we also have an event room out in the main concourse.
Oh, very
So we're
cool.
going to be next to Funko and Renegade with their
Right,
big
right,
like
right.
destination rooms.
Yeah, so
Uh,
across from the main hall on the
Wow.
opposite side.
mhm,
Yeah. And those are great rooms for people who like want to get maybe out of the main selling floor,
mhm.
where you kind of feel like cattle, and then
Yeah,
get into some actual gameplay and still be taught by, the pros who are directly associated with that company and whatnot. So yeah, that's
right.
great.
I find these rooms to assuage my anxiety because they're
Sure.
all scheduled events. You
Yep.
get your ticket, you know you're guaranteed a seat for a specific game, and you'll be taught and you can play it within the time lot, like
Yep.
time
Oh,
slot.
cool.
Oh, it's perfect. But we're also doing special events. So we're doing board
Ooh.
games and breakfast from
Oh, that
like
sounds good.
8 to 10. So you get coffee and pastries and also get to play your games. And in the evening, we're doing a
That
pub
sounds very
experience.
French.
It
Oh,
sounds wonderful. I'm going to my first Gen Con this year, so I'm going to make
Well,
sure I book for
you
that.
make sure you go see
mhm.
Danny.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That sounds amazing.
Sorry, and I cut you off when you said what was happening
It's
in the
okay.
evenings.
A pub.
Puzzles? A pub?
Pub. So your event ticket is a drink ticket for beer or wine, whatever. But we'll also have Essen previews. So all of the French studios will have their October releases available for demo.
Oh, very nice. Now, and I know this is not necessarily very French, but will there be non-alcoholic beverages served at this pub? Awesome.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Yay.
Feel you?
Yeah.
Perrier. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Okay, so we've caught up with Danny. We know she's got awesome things going on. Hachette's Gen Con plans sound awesome. 50 by 20 booth. We got the Valentine's Day, two-player games. You also are doing a podcast of your own.
I
What is it?
am.
Who's it with? What's it about?
It's called Unboxed. Okay, well, sit down because the title's kind of very long. Unboxed, a board game marketing discussion.
Yes.
So I'm a co-host along with Jen from Keymaster, marketing
Mhm.
manager for Keymaster, and every month, actually, we're doing an episode tomorrow. We go live on Twitter Spaces and record it and turn it into a podcast. But we talk for like 60 to 90 minutes about a different topic each month. So tomorrow's topic is lifestyle photography and videography and how to
Oh,
use
yeah.
money, use things you've paid money for in multiple ways, get the biggest bang for your buck marketing wise.
Does
Right.
it have pictures?
Our podcast?
Yeah. Because you said
Well,
you go live. Do you go live like this, like with video, or is it all
oh, I
completely
see, I
audio?
see. It's on Twitter Spaces, it's all audio, but
Okay,
we have like a Twitter thread that people can jump in and ask questions. And
cool.
so it's kind of an
Yeah.
open dialogue with their listeners.
Yeah, it's kinda like Clubhouse-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was
It
thinking there's a lot of visual content in what you're talking about, so I thought I
Yeah,
would check in case there was a visual option.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Brian Ashman said that he has been following the podcast and enjoy it. He's strictly a board game consumer, but he likes hearing about the business side. So
Oh,
there you
nice.
go. You got a
Hey.
fan.
Good on you, Brian.
There you go. Oh, so today we are talking specifically about Discord, which is right over there. Where's it, Danny? It's right there.
Right there.
Where's the cat? No, that
I'm
way.
not
There you
sure because I think we're mirrored, so it might be
Yep.
that
You're
way.
good. You're
It
good.
is that way. You're good. You're good. And we're gonna go through. Well, tell us what we're gonna go through, Danny.
Okay. So I recently made a Discord server completely from scratch for work. So I'm going to talk you through my process for how to build one in general, um, but also focus a lot on the whys that you would want to
Yeah.
do different things. Um, because Discord I know is intimidating for a lot of people. Like, Kat, this is how this whole happened. Kat's like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid, and I was like, I'll save you. Don't
Hey,
worry.
man. Troy is in the same boat. He's like, same. I don't grok Discord.
I
Right?
didn't use Discord until the pandemic started, and like suddenly everything was online, all the conventions and whatnot, and like suddenly you needed to have a Discord. I was actually I created my account when I worked for Gamma, and we were trying to make Origins Game Fair online, and I was in the same boat. I was like way over my head, way overwhelmed, did not know where to start. But now I'm on Discord every day. I've like blossomed into this Discord user.
Yes.
So just
Kat.
for the complete noobs, this is not me, but I know how this has felt. What is a server? So this is obviously not a physical server. This is a virtual server, right? And what is Discord?
Okay. So Discord is, let's see, it's an instant messaging. Imagine an instant messaging service meets forums, like your classic forums. So it's kind of fast moving, but organized in different topics. So you can kind of scroll backwards, you can search, but it is a fast moving real time conversation between all of the other members. Servers are different communities. So usually each publisher will have their own server. It's kind of like their own Twitter account, but closed off. So this is one difference of why to choose Discord versus not. Your classic social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, they're all what I call open, meaning they're discoverable. The more people engage with them, the more the social media algorithm pushes it to new people. And so people can not even follow you or subscribe to you and still see your content. Discord is different in that it's closed, meaning you have to be a member to see what's inside. You can get an invite. You can hear people talk about the Discord servers. You might see screenshots, right? But you can't be part of the conversation unless you join. So this is one of the hurdles that people have. Like, why have this thing that people can't discover easily? Well, if you're trying to cultivate your own community and have a lot of conversations with your fans and make people feel special, Discord might be a good option for you.
Is it good for troll control?
Is it good for what control?
Troll control.
Troll control. So there are tools for that that I will get into.
Yeah, there's lots of bots and tools that are actually really helpful, right?
There are a lot of different options. The one you'll hear about most commonly are moderators, which are real life people who spend their time monitoring things, but there's also robot moderators too that can like be programmed to catch certain words or slow people down. So they actually have a time limit on how quickly they can send messages. So you don't get like actual spam accounts popping in.
Yeah, the moderation tools are actually quite neat because you can automate stuff that you just really can't do in other programs because they don't let you have access to that kind of stuff. There's a lot of not quite open source, but open-ish source stuff for Discord that is powerful. So Troy Cabin says, so it's like a mailing list, but chat. And I would say not exactly, maybe kinda. It's more like an old school PHP BB, like a bulletin board than a mailing list because it doesn't
It feels like a forum.
it doesn't actively mail out to your email address. You have to go to it to read
You
it.
have to be an active participant, checking in each day. You're not. You may get pings on your phone, like push notifications.
Yeah.
But you can also disable them. So it's really an opt-in.
I do have to admit that I have constantly just a bunch of my Discord servers are like, just mark it all red. Mark it all red.
No, said all of mine are muted. Mute forever.
Right?
That's what I need to know how to do because my emails are full of notifications from Discord and I don't know what they mean.
Yeah, okay. And George, you're right. It is kind of like IRQ plus a BBS. Yeah, that's a good analogy. All right, so Danny, let's blow this up and let's see what you got to show us today. So we're going solo mode here for this screen, and sorry, George, we're gonna hide you.
Hi, George.
Hi,
Okay,
George.
so when you join Discord, I think this is true, but I think when you join Discord, you are automatically given your own server to do with what you please. And a lot of people will just invite their friends for like private group chats, whatever. So this is my server, very, very empty, all alone. I've got me, I've got my bestie Ella, and I've got my work account. Actually, I am my work account right now, and I've got a bot. So you'll see all of your connections over here to the right, and all of your channels on the left. So we are in a server. That's what we see right here. Everything, this whole gray screen is the server itself. Your channels and categories here on the left are how you will turn it into this forum community center. So we've got categories, which are these things that can drop down. We've got a text channel category, we've got a voice channel category. You can rename these and create more. You can create more. Oh, it's because I'm my work account, not me. So I actually can't change this. How about that? But you can also delete, rename, make new ones, whatever. You don't even have to have voice channels if you don't want, right? It's pretty customizable. There's a third type of channel that I've never used that's like for streamers. It's a video channel. I've not ventured into that territory because I don't need to.
Yeah, that's another nice thing about it. You don't have to use anything.
So before we go further, I'm going to hop over into my work account or work server to show you what a fully fledged server might look like. So like this is the blank slate that you start with, and this is what it could become.
Ooh.
Wow. So we've got categories, all these different drop downs. These are your categories, and I have organized them in different ways. So like we mentioned in the beginning, Hachette is a distributor. So I made a category for each of our studios, and within the category are their games. So this is where
nice,
the forum situation happens. So I click on a game, and now everything in this channel is all about this specific game. So
which just got nominated for an award. Thank you
it
very
did.
much.
It just got nominated for the ADA, the Game of the Year
Yeah.
in France. So we'll find out next month if it won. Cross your
I mean,
fingers.
obviously, there's a couple other Hachette products up there as well that I saw. So.
Just a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the vibe. And chat, let me know if that doesn't make sense, or if you want me to go more in depth. But right, you can create. I'll just play around in work. This is a test. It's fine. I'll make it private.
So far.
So no one can see this. So test category. Boom. Just as easy. So this has popped up. Roles.
Oh, that's a great actual thing to talk about because this is like super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You can assign roles to the members, and all the roles you can customize, what they can do, what access they have, where they can go, where they can't go. And it makes it very, very interesting for lots and lots of different uses. So how have you used it in the Hachette forum or the Hachette
So
Discord?
roles are one of my favorite features of Discord, and actually are what keeps me coming back to it and why I insist on having one, even though it is, again, a closed social media platform. I love having a channel in my server. I've made a few servers at this point for different jobs, and I always have an assigned role. You can use roles for access, like you can see here on the right, we've got a boss with T, work account. We've got our demo team highlighted. We've got press. These channels down here in the industry space, you see there's a little padlock on them.
Right.
That means they're private channels that only are accessible if you have specific roles. So.
Oh, cool. So they're like a profile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're like a flag that or a key that allows you into certain areas.
Yeah, I like that. Like the key that opens that padlock on the channel.
Yeah.
So you can see here in press announcements, we've got the boss role, the Hachette helper, which is our bot, and we've got the press role who can get in here. No one else has the key to this padlock. So
Okay.
it's it keeps things tidier, right? Now I know this channel is safe. Anyone with the press role will be able to see whatever I put in here. But so I can share early announcements. I can share review copy opportunities that I don't want our fans to get involved in.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, I think my fans would love free copies of games, but I
Yeah.
don't have them.
Yeah.
They probably would. You're right. You're right. And
Uh,
it isn't as hard as you'd think, right? You just assign a role, and then you just need to make sure that the roles are their access is fairly limited unless you want them to have lots of access.
right. So you can see here on the right, all of my press. I have them in different color. I like having a visual difference between
Yeah.
our server members so that you can tell at a glance, oh, the blue people, those are bosses, and our yellow people, those are demoers, so they can answer questions, whatever. And our press, they're purple. So if you see someone who's purple sharing reviews and whatnot, they're legit. You should like compliment them on their content. Let me show you in the back end what roles look like. So I have so many roles. I'll tell you, I'll show you why with the bots. But for different access, you can change the color. You can change the color to your specific brand colors if you want. This little toggle right here, that's how I get them to appear different. Like that's how I
Right.
get this press section, which I like just
I think
for
it's
like
great.
full visual context.
Can
Um,
everyone see that or
mhm.
just you?
Nope, everyone can see that.
Okay.
And
It
that's
it
helpful
actually
too. Go
yeah,
ahead,
it
Sam.
actually does drive some not jealousy really, but in some servers where different people have different roles and different roles are attainable by doing things, people
Mm.
they see that list and go, I want to be on that list. It's actually kind of an interesting social reinforcer.
Oh yeah, I have some links I can share at the end of Discord servers I aspire to be. Um, but with different plugins, different bots, and different monetary support of Discord itself, you can really elevate your server to this engaging. You can gamify it, I guess is what
Right.
I'm saying. You can earn experience and level up.
Ooh.
And so you can create exclusive roles, kind of like limited edition goodies in MMOs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get super creative with it.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
permissions with roles, this is one of the overwhelming parts because there's so many toggles. The list of things you can choose goes on and on and on. What I usually do, obviously, unless it's a boss or an admin, I don't check anything with a manage because that means they can put their hands in your server and change things. I let them.
You let T do that?
Actually,
I would
T created this server. I have to ask them for help all the time. It's like,
uh
hey, can you toggle this button, Ultimate Boss? It's fine. Um, the text permissions and whatnot, uh, you can choose not to let people send messages in specific channels,
right.
Oh,
which is
cool.
interesting. That's how I use it in our announcement channel. So
Right. So
literally
people can read
only,
it, but yeah.
yes, they can't mess up the news feed basically. But
They can't even
for
reply to those.
nope,
Oh, so
all they
send message is to speak in the thread. It's not to send like private messages to other people.
right. You can always right click and message if the people have their own permissions, their own privacy
Okay.
things open. That's a personal choice. But within channels itself, each one will have different permissions. So I've made announcements so that only me, T, and our little Hachette account can write in here. So that
Okay.
whenever people come here, they only see news and not a conversation.
Yeah, because at the speed of Discord, those threads can get full fast if you allowed like free reign for everybody to post in there forever.
Right. So Turing Machine, this channel is a good example. I've got my announcement about Turing Machine, but we've also got Hornist here who posts his daily challenge. I'm very excited. He's so good at Turing Machine, but you can see how it's easy for things to get lost. Here's Richmond
Mhm.
sharing a video he made that's super nice. But the conversation, you have to scroll, scroll, scroll to find what we want. So that's one of the reasons. Sorry, I'm going to hop all over the place just
That's
as the
okay.
That's
conversation
cool.
flows. As one of the reasons I double up announcements here, and I also put the same thing in the specific game channels.
Right.
That
So
makes
you'll
sense.
announce it in Hachette's general announcement, and then if it was about, say, Turing Machine, like we just saw, you'd also stick it in
Mhm.
there. I got
Yep,
it. Got
yep,
it.
yep.
So just to
Hey, we got a
compare
couple
this to
questions.
Facebook,
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
oh, sorry, before you do the
No,
questions.
yeah.
So the announcements section that you've got there is kind of like the page in a way, and the different other groupings that you've got on the side there are like groups, like Facebook groups. So
Mm,
people can chat away in those, but then you've kind of got like a pinned section with the announcements, the way you've built it.
yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. Yeah, on the Facebook, on the Discord page, on the announcement channel, it's only one way. I'm only shouting out information, and they can react with emojis, whatever. But that's the extent of it. To
Yeah,
have a
Cool.
conversation with each other or with me by tagging me, whatever, they'd go into a specific channel.
right.
Okay.
So Steve-O says, Danny is the best. When she brought her
Devo.
Discord magic, it literally blew my mind. There you go.
Oh,
Steve was
No.
awesome.
yeah.
And the question that Kat interrupted was from George.
Sorry.
So, I mean, George asked, do you plan out your role structure when you set up a new server, or do you sort of add them as situations arise?
So each server will have different types of roles. Um, for Hachette, we're very complicated because we have like 60 different games. So um, let me pop back into the back end to show you. Right, I've got 100 different roles. It's a little bit ridiculous, but you can see I've made some for game category and also for some specific games. The reason for that is because we're spoiled for choice. So I want people to, oh, I didn't talk about how I use roles. I use them as kind of a newsletter, like a subscription. So I have roles for people to choose their pronouns. What this
Right.
looks like, uh, so you know how people will put like in their username their
Yep.
name and then
Mhm.
parentheses pronouns. Instead of that,
Oh,
you
I
can see
see.
Arwen did it here. But I also made roles so that when you click on their profile, oh, their
Yeah,
role,
their role will come up.
yeah.
Ha,
So
that's
that's
cool.
one way. These have no special permissions. It's literally just a vanity thing. Um, Other ones here in the second one, that's where we start getting some giveaways. So if you click on this present, it will give you the giveaway role. And then every time I've got something new in the giveaway channel, I'll tag them and ping them. So they're subscribing to giveaway notifications,
Right. They are
um,
opting in to that one by
opting
choosing
in.
that rule. Right.
Yep.
Got it.
And so, in the same vein, I've got different um, roles for our different types of games, just because we have so many, and then also specific ones because I'll have lots of news about specific games that people are interested in.
Yeah, they want to follow that specific game. Cool.
So,
We have another question. Oh, do you have another answer?
just to actually answer George's question,
Right, right,
I
right.
I
Good.
planned those out ahead of time because, as you can see, I broke up these messages in different chunks. I also knew I wanted a private press channel that would need a role, private retailer channel, and a private demo team channel.
Right.
If our server blows up and there's a different type of person, let's say, um, who else? Maybe like a distributor. I only want a distributor channel. I can create a new role super easy, just like I can create a new channel super
Mhm.
easy. So
Okay, good. Troy asks, do you have to post individually in each channel, or is there a way to broadcast an important post to each channel or a set of channels?
uh, You do have to post individually, but that's why I have an announcement channel, because this is kind of your catch-all. Like I said, I repost important messages in their game channels, but that's a me thing. I just like to cover my bases because I am an anxious person. But in theory, by having a message in your announcement channel, that's typically the one channel that people will not mute because they know that's where you're announcing your most important things.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I just copy paste the message and it's pretty quick, not too complicated, but there's no automated thing.
There may be a bot somewhere. I don't know about
That's
that
true.
one though.
That's
I
true.
haven't looked
There's so
for it.
many bots.
So
And
many
you can't
bots.
like build a role that'll do that to be like multi-poster or something like that.
No, not
Not
really
a
through
role,
roles.
but possibly, Sen's right, possibly a bot.
And
Yeah.
can
So
people
for
have
those of
multiple roles assigned to them?
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Cool.
yeah. Tons and tons.
Yeah.
Just in case people don't understand what bots are, they're little pieces of script that do scripty stuff for you, like automated things for you.
That was a
So,
great explanation.
yeah, I know. Danny was explaining that there might be bots that say search a word and basically mute that post if somebody uses a banned word, right? That kind of
Mm-hmm.
bot. I have bots that roll dice for me if I use a specific server to play a role playing game on. There's all sorts of different bots. There's bots that play music into the stream, all sorts of stuff. So very cool. Another question from George asks, can you clone roles or have a role inherit from another role? But then I think he answered his own question and said, so roles are generally assignable attributes. So we don't really clone them.
No, there's
Yeah,
no.
so I think we've both been looking at these as if they are user roles, the way that we would normally assign those in as people in the back end of software, like in
Yeah.
IT. And this isn't really what I would call a role at all, which is why I'm finding it really confusing. This is just this is something I can attach to someone. It's more of an attribute, the way George has worded it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
much easier to understand for me. So I could assign 7 different roles to one individual.
Yes. I think a good way to think about it might be like tasks or permissions or something like that as well,
Permissions,
because
yeah.
that's usually what they entail a lot of, is where you're allowed to go and where you're not allowed to go.
Right. Where did my fake channel that I made? I guess
I don't
I'll find it
know.
in the morning. I definitely made one. Anyway, but let's just take the Turing machine. I can change the permissions on a channel. I can make it private. I can change the rules that have access to it right here, whether it's viewing it or sending messages in it and whatnot. So you have your roles that have permissions. You can also customize each channel
Right.
if you need it to be different.
Which is something I really actually appreciate about Discord. It's like everything you want to find is actually where you think it will be. Even when you don't think it's going to be there, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you can affect it from the role side, or you can affect it from the channel side where you're affecting the roles. And it's actually quite useful when you want to limit it one way but not the other way. So I think it's actually quite a bit more intuitive than it looks, because it looks like a whole bunch of stuff flying at you at light speed, but it's much easier than it looks, I think, anyways.
Yeah.
Can you
and that's
use
why
roles as a limiter as well? So can you, without someone knowing, assign a role to them that basically says, this is an annoying person, I don't want them to go into this or whatever?
No, I don't think so, because I'm I'm going to use Dutch Yoda here as an example. He has gone ham on my reaction roles. So they all are public. I don't think there's such thing as a reaction as a private role, though you can add notes.
Avoid.
I don't think Dutch will see this, but just in case, I'm gonna play nice with him. But yeah, I mean, let's say Dutch was being annoying. I could
I see.
put him in timeout. That's part of the moderation tools. I can message him, whatever.
Remember to change back whatever you just did.
Oh no, I just said hi.
Oh, good. I can't see it from here, so I was like, did you just like totally ban Dutch Yoda?
I would never.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Is that all good so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve-O just wanted to say hi and give props to you, Danny. So he's gonna go do some work.
Okay. Have fun, Steve. Don't work too hard.
Yeah, but he hopes to see us all at the next con, whenever that is.
For sure. I can show you how I build bots or build roles
Yeah.
with bots.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There are so many. I just every time you think of a bot and you are searching for a Discord bot, you're going to be spoiled for choice.
So there's
MEE6.
pre-written code to use for a bot?
Yes.
Yep. You just
Yep.
import them into your server, right?
Yeah, all I did was logged in, said, hey, I want it to be connected to this server. And they said, okay. And then I was on this dashboard and I got to pick and choose all the things I wanted the bot to do. MEE6, that's just how I will pronounce it. I don't know, whatever. They have so many things and I use only a fraction of it. Some aspects are paid, some are for free, and some have different like quantitative limits. Like for reaction roles, you could get 10 for free, but I have 100, so I needed to pay for it. Either way, I recommend going for free, getting at least one role set up, doing what you want to learn before you dive in headfirst paying for it, because it did take me quite a while teaching myself, figuring out how things worked. But that's why your guinea pig, your own server, is like your prime testing ground, especially if you don't invite your friends to it. So you can make things as ugly and broken as you want while you figure out how it actually works.
So what's a reaction role?
So the reaction role is this channel, these things. So basically, I have this message, and to subscribe to notifications about abstract games, when I tag abstract strategy fans, that's me tagging a role. So reaction roles make it super easy for fans to self-select roles and opt into these notifications. So by clicking this black pawn, I am now subscribed to abstract strategy games. And I use the bot to do that.
Cool.
So this is what it'll look like in MEE6. I've got 5 different categories of reaction roles. I can have up to 40 of those, but I'm only using 5. And so each of these categories are these like chunked out color-coded messages. So I'll just look at the pronoun ones since it's short and kind of easily understood. First, I pick a channel that I want this message to appear in. And then I go ahead and write my message, how I want it to appear. I've color-coded it using my brand colors because I love visual, like a continual, cohesive look. And then I've created those roles in Discord, like the pronoun like vanity tags that I showed you earlier, and attach them to an emoji. And I also put that key in the message. So I know like if anyone wants a potted plant, they will get the he, him pronouns. If anyone wants a branch, they'll get the they, them pronouns down here. And so once I have those all connected here and have the key in my message, I'll go ahead and save, and it'll automatically publish over here in my server in the channel that I selected. And then I just pop in, and because I'm my company account, I'll just say where non-binary. So there we go, they, them pronouns. So now when people click on the Hachette Board Games account up here, you can see the abstract role that I just picked, and then also they, them pronouns. So super easy for your fans to subscribe.
It's just one emoji per thingy, right?
Nope, I could have all of the pronouns in the world.
Oh no, I'm sorry. When you're assigning the emoji to it, you can't have that. Will it prevent you from having like the leaf against they, them, and then against something else?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Let's try it, because I have never tried that. Yeah, it did not save that. But if we picked zebra, then it did. So
cool. Okay, so you can't accidentally have like the same. Cool.
Troy says he has to go, but that was super enlightening. He'll start playing with Discord to see if it can work for them. Thanks, Danny.
Nice. You're welcome. Glad it's helpful.
And you can watch the rest later as well, Troy.
Yep. He'll be online forever and ever. Amen.
So that's the basic of reaction roles. One thing that took me forever to figure out was there's a hierarchy of roles that you have to keep in mind.
Oh, good point. Yes.
For permission's sake, the order in which they appear in this backend is the order of priority in permissions. So I keep all of my pronouns at the bottom because they're just vanity. They don't do anything. These other ones, these fan and game ones, I keep just alphabetical because they all have the same permissions. But once we start getting to the actual more quote unquote functional roles that have different channels and whatnot, I put them above. And our bot, which I named the Hachette helper, is at the very, very top. It needs to be higher than everything except the admin, because I literally can't put it above that, in order to grant roles to everyone else. It has to have a level of power.
Yeah. Now, some days I'm sure you'd like the
boss,
bot to be higher than the boss, but
Please do my job for me. That'd be great.
right? So interesting that there are various hierarchies, and that understanding them is important so that people get the access that they have requested, that the bot can distribute those accordingly. Yeah, that's important stuff to know.
Speaking of doing my job for me, we could segue into moderation.
Yeah, let's do that. That's something that I think a lot of people are concerned with, right?
Yeah, well, there's been not many times, but at least multiple times where I've come into my server in the morning with my cup of coffee and I see chaos in my server because someone, it's usually not an actual human, but they've come in and there's like spamming links, messages, and it was overnight. Sometimes people have messaged me, but again, overnight, and it's the first thing I'm seeing in the morning. We want to prevent those situations, either phishing scams or just annoying repeated messages, anything that could disrupt the happy-go-lucky fun times that you're trying to cultivate in your Discord server. Because it makes people uncomfortable, it makes them feel unsafe, right?
Yeah.
They being presented with scams. So moderation, auto moderation. If you don't have a large enough server to hire a human mod, don't have the budget, don't think, like, my server only has 80 people. It's pretty sleepy so far. But I don't necessarily need someone monitoring it 24/7 because we get like one message a day, right? I can handle that. Let's say we did get a bad bot who joined and was spamming all of our channels with links. Our auto mod with Me6, but also with Discord itself, has some tools that we've enabled to prevent that as much as possible. So Discord has an auto mod, also some other features I'll go into, but it has its own thing running where it will flag things as spammy based on its software and what it has experience with. We can also add words that we don't want seen, or that we've had a spam experience with, whatever. This is pretty customizable. It's also very easy to enable. I recommend it. It's easy. Me6 also has the more in-depth mods where they actually will warn members if it's a person doing it. They will send a warning message, which is what a human mod would do. They kind of keep the peace and issue warnings like, hey, we don't use that type of language, or hey, that's a spoiler, be sure to flag that, whatever your community needs. Typically, I work on a 2-strike policy. So I'll issue a warning, and then if they do it again, I kick them out of the server. You can ban them versus kick them versus timeout, whatever your comfort levels are. I guess I'm pretty strict with it, but That's what happens when you're a woman on the internet.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
Me6 has a bunch of these different things. So spoilers, not
So like
super
Me6
relevant.
is like your best friend.
I love Me6.
Oh.
And for like the nitty gritty money talk, it was $80 one time for 15 years. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
if I'm still using it in 15 years, I have to pay $80 again, which I probably will think is worth it. Otherwise, there's like a monthly version too that you could do, but $80, that's like a year's thing for forever.
Right.
Anyway, that's moderation. We can go more into it if people have questions, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory with what's on screen.
Mm-hmm. That is a
Yeah,
good
pretty
point. Everybody out
much.
there, if you have questions, just shoot them in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So far, this all makes sense to anyone who's run pretty much any online situation that has these options, like rules and things. I mean, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, all of that kind of thing. This all makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Facebook groups, one of the things I really appreciate about them is before you join, you can have different rules set up that people have to acknowledge or different like screening
Cool.
questions. Discord has something mostly comparable and again, customizable. So we've got this rule screening thing that pops up. As soon as people click on your invite and join your server, this can pop up if you have it enabled. So actually we can preview it. That's nice. So based on the settings, the parameters that I've set, I need all of my people joining to have a verified email. And this is to cut down on the like fake accounts joining and spamming. And then they need to agree to our rules, which are repeated in our rules channel that we have archived. They have to click the button consent before they're allowed to join further and actually see and participate the server. So that one is super nice. I highly recommend having rules because you are dealing with a community situation. You want to have something that they've signed so that when they break those rules, you have a like ground to stand on to warn them or put them in timeout. So all goes into setting expectations with your community to create a safe space. But that is that. There's different, I have it set up on Medium where they just have to have a verified email and have existed on Discord for longer than 5 minutes. But there's different levels that you can go depending on what you're comfortable with. Yeah, I think that's on the safety bit. We can talk about fun stuff too.
Yeah, fun is good. I like fun.
I like fun too. So custom emojis, these can be animated or static. I only have static because I don't know how to make animated GIFs.
Oh my goodness.
But you can have 50 of them, 50 of each. So how I use them is to add a little bit of like customization and fan hurrah moments by having custom emojis of the games. So that's an easy reaction, like motivating, incentivizing people to use our emojis is have it be the game. And when we are, let's just say my announcements, I usually pre-seed a bunch of emojis so that people can participate easily by just clicking on the ones I've already put up there. It's a sneaky tip. But you see I've got our Hachette logo, I've got the games, and also just the normal ones. People will go further. A couple of the links I'll share later for like my favorite other servers. They have their own mascots that have like different literal emojis of different emotions to replace your classic like heart eyes, yellow person. So you can go pretty deep with it if you want, not
That's
just do
cool.
games. Yeah. It's a fun way. In some of the ones you'll see, they're mostly video game servers, and they use custom emojis to create like it ends up being an inside joke with their server members. One of them, it's a video game called Cozy Grove, and it's kind of like Animal Crossing. You can place fences, and so they made a fence, like a log fence emoji, and now like the default emoji to react to anything with is this like log post. It's really stupid, but it is it's an insight. It's the most used emoji, and it's just like a stick. Anyway.
Okay.
Makes me laugh, but people have fun with them. Other fun stuff, I highly recommend having just like a hangout spot, like I've called mine. Not everything has to be business 100% of the time, because you want it to be a fun place for people to come and have conversations. So I preceded all of my channels with content. And so, like, for On the Table, we just talk about the games we're playing, and not even games from our company. It's just whatever. We've got some My City, we've got Cosmic Encounter, not things in our catalog, but this is probably the most active channel we have because it's a comfortable place for easy conversation. We've also got a pet channel because obviously we love them. And gift sharing. So it's creating easy moments, easy ins to engage. I think this DNix, it's his only comment in the whole server so far. But now, like, I know he's there. He exists. Or, yeah, here we go. So, yeah, that is my strategy there.
That's
And
really cool.
Yeah, have you found that people are very accepting of Discord? Are they like wary of Discord? Are they like, I don't want to look at it, just give me something else?
Well, the most common things I hear are things we've already mentioned. Like I'm in so many, I don't want to be in another one because it's something else to check, or I'm overrun with notifications. So
Right.
that's why I go to the assigned roles. I've defaulted our everyone role. Each time people join the server, I am very sneaky, and they're automatically assigned a role as Hachette fan. Oh, you can't see that. But as Hachette fan. And that permission sets all of their notifications to off, except if they're tagged as everyone. But spoiler alert, I don't use at everyone. I only use the different roles that I have outlined and people opt into.
Right.
Cool.
To make it not overwhelming and not feeding into that negative experience. But it's also, users kind of have to realize their own preferences too and force it to be what they want. Like, if even those are too many notifications, I can right click on a server in my like server menu, and I can change the
Oh, that's how you.
notification.
Awesome.
Yep. I can mute server for temporarily or forever, or I can change what notifications I have. Yeah, so I can customize. I have, oh, this is my work one again. In my own account, I have different submenus of servers too. So I've got ones that are just video games, and I've got a folder of servers that are just board games or just friends, their own personal things. And I have different levels of muting on each one so that I don't miss the ones I super care about, or the ones that, like the video game ones, I'll pop in when I think of them, when I am curious about what's going on, but I don't need to be notified ASAP.
So here's the one thing that really freaked me out about Discord. I had, as far as I was concerned in my settings, I had turned off my mic, I had turned off my headphones, but then I could still hear people hearing what was going on because they could hear our television playing.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, oh my God, how do I get out of here? And it turned out that I was actually still in one of the the chats, and I
Yep.
hadn't turned off those settings, even though I'd turned off the overall settings. So they could hear me going, how do I turn this
no.
off? And they were, everyone was laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. I'm so lucky that it was just like the food channel and
So
not something that, I didn't want people hearing. But that's the kind of experience that most of the people I know who aren't comfortable with Discord are reporting. Like, why does it have 6 different places where I have to turn off my mic before it's gone? And why doesn't it switch off? And, if I close the window, I feel like I've finished with this app, but it's still there and it's still listening. And, so do you have any tips for people like that?
So one tip is, you as a server creator, like my Hachette one, there's no voice channels. It's impossible for people to flub on their mic settings because it's a very quiet Discord server. Like on a lot of them though, it's very easy because it looks like a text channel. They're all gray.
Yeah.
They're all right next to each other. I don't have any tips because I've been in your seat too, Kat, and I just had to learn through embarrassment and desperation how to turn off my mic. So for newbies, for newbies who aren't super anxious people who do a ton of research before starting something new, I don't know an easy way around that. And that's why it's up to the server creators to make the experiences as smooth as possible, which is kind of my ultimate thesis for creating a Discord server, in how you organize things, in how you preload content, how you pin things for easy access, is to make newbies not embarrassed so they never want to come back to Discord again. Yeah.
So when you're a game creator, often what you do need is you need the voice and the video channels because you are using this as part of playtesting.
Yes.
Are there any ways that we, say, if we were creating something like this, are there any things that we can do, for example, that would tie switching things off together, or anything, any way that you can think of that would help make the experience easier, given that we have to have the voice and video?
So what I have seen and experienced with a content creator who has their own Discord channel, they use Discord for voice when doing live streams, and they have a specific role called, well, I don't know what it's called, but it's basically like live stream guest, and they will give and remove the role before and after a live stream so that your guests are kind of funneled into this one area. So if let's call this playtesting table.
Like a green room or something.
Yes, that's what it's called. That's literally what it's called. They have a category for their live stream. We're going to use playtesting as the example. They've got a green room text channel so their guests can pop in and say, hey, I'm ready, I'm here. And then they'll also have a voice channel that's private that they actually drag the guests into themselves.
Kicking and screaming.
Oh, goodness.
So that takes the onus off of the guests to know where to go and what to do. That might be an option for, I don't know what I'm doing here. That might be an option for playtesting, right? Because you are organizing the event. So you can have your green room and you can be like, okay, now it's time for voice. Get ready, buckle up, and then put everyone in the voice channel. Could be.
That's interesting.
So you can move them into and out of voice channels so they don't have to stress about it.
Mm-hmm. And then,
that's
of
cool.
course, you could do a little tutorial once they're in there, like, okay, this is where you click on to mute your mic, or whatever.
Yeah, but they didn't have to get in and they don't have to get out. Right. You can take them out. So then they know that no one's going to be listening to their television.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of any time that's ever happened to me. I'm just going to look at Discord for a second. Just because there's definitely ways to leave a voice channel that you shouldn't just be left sitting there. Oh yeah, I mean, so Yeah, if you want out of a server channel, you have to disconnect. Like there's a disconnect button down in the bottom next to it has like a phone because
Mhm.
you know people use phones. And you just disconnect from that voice channel. Now I'm not in the voice channel. It's different than a text channel though. So you're right. Like if you write in a text channel, you're not in that channel. But if you're in a voice channel or a video channel, you 100% are in that channel.
Yeah.
And you can actually be in text channels and write in the text channels while you are in also a voice channel or a video channel.
I think that's the
Um,
confusing part because you can be
yes.
multiple. You can be
Yeah.
texting, but people like still in a conversation, an actual like
Yeah.
audio conversation.
I think
Um,
that's what I can't even remember how it happened, but we were so stuck. We were lost in this like, which thing do I hang up? And I had hung up heaps of things, but when I clicked other things, it put me into that. And I was just like, oh my God. And then I turned it off. So I couldn't see it anymore. But they could still hear me, and I could still hear them talking about hearing me. It was the worst.
oh, well,
Yeah, it's
fortunate.
way down at the bottom. That's the other
Yeah,
thing too. It's like
Yeah.
not in a place where you might think about
yeah.
it.
It's like don't think about
Yeah.
it.
It's
And
where your audio controls are at the
yep,
bottom
it's
left-hand
down
corner.
there under show.
Yeah,
On the
under
screen for
show.
us,
Yeah.
under show.
So
But it was,
now under
yeah, it was
Discord.
now, yes. But the thing is that, under the main, settings, which I can't see here, but there was a main settings thing, I think top right or something like that on my screen. So I'd gone into there and I'd hung everything up and I'd turned everything off and then I had clicked it closed. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things, I suppose, if we're bringing in people into our Discord, we should bear in mind that even people who are pretty tech savvy, the way I honestly am, can get horribly, horribly lost if they don't understand what all of these extra things are and how they
Oh,
work.
well,
100%.
yes,
Yeah.
that is an excellent point. So, in addition to making your organization and your like presentation welcoming, I also try to explain any concepts that are Discord specific, just in case
Mm,
there's someone who's joining our server as their very first Discord experience.
yeah.
So, like for pinned messages, kind of intuitive. Like there's this pin button up here. I use the pin emoji, but I also say like you can find it here on desktop or here on mobile because it's different. And then explaining the concept of why these are. Uh,
Mm.
it's
This is a good channel. I like this one.
mm, mhm,
Or
mhm.
channel, server, thing. I like this. Oh, that's it. I saw game channels. That's why I said channel.
But the pins, right? It turns each game channel into it has its own little feed. If I pin something like this, oh yeah, pin it good. Thanks, Discord. It now appears under the pinned messages for posterity, and so I can easily
Mm.
scroll and jump to a specific message. In this case, the
Oh,
first
cool.
message of the server or of the channel to see all the important info. But that's not they're pinned posts on Twitter and Facebook, but they work differently than in Discord. Right? I can have multiple here under each channel. Uh, so I explain that concept for new people. I also explain how to mute the the
Yes,
server.
I saw that. That's lovely.
So yeah, this my server designs have been a labor of love and like lessons over the years over all the feedback I've gotten from newbies and people being overwhelmed because I don't want that for people who come into my house and want to hang out.
Aw.
Perfect. Yeah.
So we're slightly over time at the moment, but I did want to ask you just one thing.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone who is planning to set up their first server? Like, are there any servers that you recommend that they go and look at to learn from? Or, I mean, obviously apart from yours, because you're doing that now. Um, as a game designer, is there any particular? And I know this is like no warning, recommend
uh,
things, but
no, that is fine. I have a couple examples indeed.
oh,
So for
awesome.
board games specifically, this is the
Mhm.
North Star Discord channel. So I don't know if I can put the link anywhere, but I do have the link up here in the URL. Oh, can I put it in host chat? And you
Yeah,
can,
You
and
can.
okay,
then,
We can stick it
yeah,
somewhere.
okay, here's
it
the
is.
Northgard. North Star. Sorry, Northgard is one of our games. Uh, there we go. There's that link. They do a lot of playtesting in theirs and a lot of like app development and rules questions. So theirs is pretty active for.
Evolution, that's what that
Mhm,
art is. I knew it.
mhm. There's also the Renegade one, which they have a. Renegade is one of the examples of a server where if you invest a lot of time and money, they have their like experience program where people can actually level up.
Ooh.
And they have, you can see a custom URL up here. Theirs is pretty intense and fun. They also have reaction rules. Theirs is good for specific communities and like diehard fans. It's just a very different vibe than North Star and mine. I think it's
Mhm.
nice to take a look at. And then for some warm and fuzzy ones, I've got the video game with the log that I mentioned. It's nice to see. The video game servers were my inspiration, actually. So I learned a lot about Discord from these two servers. I'll show you. Ooblets, very adorable, very cute. But yeah, video games have a lot to teach because their audiences are so much larger than board
Mm.
game fans. So their servers are always active, even though it's like a little indie company in this case. Um, just lots of lots of ideas of what you could do and try to emulate. Um, so
Well, you know what? I feel a lot less intimidated by Discord. I don't know if that's worked for the rest of the audience, but it certainly helped for me.
good. I'm glad. It's really like you have your guinea pig server. I really suggest trying different ideas, making it ugly, like to get things as organized and pretty and in the right order as you see here. I I think I spent 12 hours making this server because I wanted it to be organized and very specific. So like these
That's faster
reaction
than I
rules,
thought.
it
I thought you were
well,
gonna say a week because it feels like a lot of work.
it's also my third one that I've built to this
Right.
level. So I do have some experience under my belt. I know roughly what I wanted. It still took some trial and error though,
I
because I was
bet.
like, oh, to get it formatted this way, I need to do this. But oh, I wanted pronouns first instead of the games. Or I realized as I was building, I had too many games, so I had to make a second one of these. Anyway, you will need to redo stuff. So play around in your guinea pig land. Uh, and also, I didn't share the invite link to my work server until I was happy with it,
Right.
until those 12 hours were up, because I took the time in every channel to put content in there first and to
Mm.
pin some messages, because people joining is your first opportunity to convince them to stay. And the first time people see something is like, it's the first impression, right? It's your prime time to convince them to be interested in a game or community, whatever, in this case, games. So I wanted to prepare each channel to that to the best of my abilities. Um,
That makes sense.
mhm.
Yeah, I like your analogy of it, like you're inviting people into your house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna be cozy and warm and fun and inviting, right? So you don't just invite people over and say, "Come over whenever." You gotta kinda clean the house a little bit.
Right. Well, and then people are shy too. So that's why I kind of like seed the conversations, even though like you'll
Right,
see
right, right.
Danny marketing manager talking to Hachette board game account. It's me. I'm talking to myself.
I do that on my Facebook page as well. It
But
just makes it easier because it gives people an in, right? Because there's a conversation happening and then they can join in. Whereas if they're
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
one to comment, it feels like,
Hello, is anybody here?
am I the
That's what
first
they'd
one
say,
at the party again?
right?
yep. Yep.
Bunch of nerds.
In the corner drinking their Perrier. No,
There
I
you
don't want
go.
It's
that.
delicious.
Yes, and bubbly, bubbly.
Yeah.
So Danny, do you have any other advice for people about Discord before we sadly say goodbye to you?
Oh. Um, I've shared a lot of advice,
Yeah, you
but
have. It's great.
so I would say something I haven't mentioned yet is make it your own. Like all of the links that I shared, even the ones that you'll find out, out in the wild, they'll all have their own different flavor because your community is unique to you and your game, your company. So find what you are excited to talk about, what you are excited to present to the world, and then lean into that. Don't try to copy someone else just because it works for them, because it may not work for you, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
experiment, but make it you.
Excellent. So let's take a look at what is happening here on the Maple Syrup Show in the upcoming weeks. We have on February 1st, so that would be next week, we have Eduardo Baraf coming to talk about rules writing. After that, we have a host panel. And hey, Kat, who's on our host panel?
We've got Isaac, and then as our special guest, and we've also got the two of us and our lovely Jay and Fertessa, who will be helping us figure out what homework games are from everyone's different perspective.
And by homework games, we mean games that we think designers should play as doing
From
homework.
a yeah,
Yeah, to learn
from
from.
a getting better at being a designer
Right, right, right.
perspective.
And on February 15th, we have Kate Bullock coming. Kat, what's Kate going to talk about?
She's going to talk to us about safety. So, safety is designing a game with other people in mind, thinking about what you put in your game and whether you're putting it in there just to make people feel uncomfortable or unhappy, and whether you should do that, and how to make sure that you don't deliberately put trauma triggering content and all of those sorts of things that seem pretty obvious, but people do it all the time. So, Kate's going to help us make sure that we're not people who do that.
Bunch of edge lords, I tell you.
Yeah.
And then on February 22nd, we have our next masterclass, which will be Sarah Ship. And Sarah is coming on to do what?
She's going to teach us how to start a thematic design. So, Sarah talks about theme and narrative and the storytelling aspects of game design. She has an amazing blog. You have to read it. I think
Award-winning
probably we can link
amazing
that,
blog.
but yeah, and she just did an amazing video, which I will also link in the comments when I find it again. I watched it all the way through, and I don't normally have the attention span for that. So Sarah's going to be teaching us about thematic design and how to get started.
Yes, which is great. So Sarah is, in my mind, one of the preeminent thinkers in our field. She does a lot of good thinking about design, and
Yes.
therefore does a lot of good design work. So there you go. So that's what's coming up over the next 4 weeks. And as you know, every week I erase the top one, I add one to the bottom. So we've got much more coming. Kat did a bang up job, like I said, on getting our guests all lined up. And now we just gotta get through them all and learn from them and find out new and wild things from everybody who's coming on the show. So, on that note, we're going to say goodbye to Danny. Thanks so much for coming on, Danny. It was great to have you again. And I know that a lot of people are taking notes, and hopefully, we'll see some great Discord servers. Maybe they'll invite you.
Oh, please do. And feel free. I'm on Twitter. So if you have questions as you start building your own, or you want other inspiration, like I said, I've got those folders that hold sidebar of different servers, so I can send you links.
Right, and I
Yeah.
don't have your Twitter on here, but I'll put it up in a second. So, speaking of Twitter, let's see here. This is one thing we do need to work on. Kat and I are going to be working on some designer kit giveaways. So that's something that's coming up from our last week's guest, Launch Tabletop. We have some kits to give away to y'all, and we're just trying to figure out the logistics and then kind of the parameters around it all. But yes, some great giveaways from there. If you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at Senfeng Lim. Where are you, Kat?
You can find me on all the things at Dreyer Inc.
All right. And Danny, where are you?
Danny below, not above,
No,
below.
that's Dreyer Inc. There we go. Danny below on Twitter. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And you can find Kat and myself at Maple Syrup on Twitter as well. If you want to support the show, you can reach out to us at patreon.com/maple syrup. Help keep the lights on. Oh, I should show you, Kat. This all came in the mail. So you guys get to see the office as the screen moves
Ooh.
away. You get to see the magic that's all here. So
Very
this
exciting.
this is just one of the microphones. So I bought a bunch of microphones that are USB powered that will go into the computer, and we can have like podcast recording live with like 4 guests, which is gonna be great because we can't always do video. Video is actually really hard to do at shows. It's horrible, actually. Audio's just as bad technically, but because video usually requires me to stream live, because to store it all is actually even worse. And then edit it later is horrible. I don't want to do that, but I will do audio editing. I don't mind audio editing. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff for myself through here, Maple Syrup, and then for Ludology as well. We'll be doing more live recording because now we have the technology, we have the power. So that is something that we can do in the future, which will be great. Some nice Australian microphones. They're an Australian company. There we go.
Never
And
mind.
we've already looked at coming soon. So I think we're ready to go. I think that's it. So everybody, will see you here next week, same time, same place, Maple Syrup, and we will be meeting with Eduardo Baraf from Pencil First Games about rules writing. Thanks, Danny, so much for coming on. We'll see you guys all later. Bye.